Hello everyone, this is Professor Geek. Welcome back to my channel. With excitement mounting for Spider-Man Homecoming, I wanted to take a look at what has made our friendly neighborhood web-slinger such a staple of American mythos since his creation in 1962. Even those who've never seen a film or read a comic will recognize the character by sight, and will most likely know that he is a hero given to quips and inner struggles. So I'll be releasing a series of 3 videos beginning with this one, running right up to Homecoming's release. For this first video, we'll discuss the archetype that Spider-Man embodies and how he functions in our culture. Part 2 will look at Spider-Man in animation, and Part 3 will discuss the films we've had so far. In terms of archetypes, Spider-Man is a trickster. Most will be able to name trickster villains right away, like Loki or Green Goblin. Heroes can fit the mold too though, like Spider-Man or Quicksilver. So what defines a trickster? Our examples thus far often tell jokes and play tricks, but this isn't their defining trait. The similarities go deeper. Whether a villain disguising their appearance or suffering dual identities, or a hero swinging from buildings or running at super speed, tricksters are never what they appear to be. Hero, villain, or god, a trickster blurs boundaries. They might treat life or death situations with humor, blurring the proper emotional response. They might blur the boundary of physics with their speed or agility, or maybe they blur reality and appearance with magic. While most heroes have an element or two of the trickster, a true trickster type exhibits the trait on many levels. Consider Spider-Man. He blurs the boundaries between man and spider. Being a true hero who is misunderstood by the public, he blurs the boundaries of hero and villain as well. And since Spider-Man's origin story and much of his legend afterward is a coming-of-age tale, balancing power and responsibility, he blurs the boundary between boy and man. In fact, that gray space between child and adult is central to his character. He's been given adult levels of power and struggles with adult responsibility while often making childish mistakes. The public sees him as either an adult hero or an adolescent menace. Spider-Man stories resonate most with the public when the writers and artists portray this in-between space prominently. Let's examine this page from The Ultimate Spider-Man number 6 by Brian Michael Bendis and Mark Bagley. As a young teenager, Spider-Man is not moving in what we might call a manly fashion. Nor does he look particularly manly in his t-shirt and tidy whities. And if before I showed you this page, I just told you that I was about to reveal a picture of a young teenage boy who had locked himself in his basement in his underwear to shoot a sticky substance onto the wall, you would have expected a completely different image. I'm not at all saying that Bendis and Bagley wanted to suggest Spider-Man's masturbating in his basement, but they did choose to portray this scene in which he develops his web fluid in a way that would evoke the idea of male puberty. Why? Because as a trickster, Spider-Man blurs boundaries, particularly the one between boy and man, which resonates strongly with fans. Long before the Greek gods changed form and deceived each other, the trickster archetype developed in tribal cultures as a god, sometimes even the creator god. Native American mythologies, for example, are filled with trickster gods. They appear often as comical characters who fail to heed warnings or act prudently and suffer hilarious consequences. These stories would serve to entertain the tribe's children as well as to teach them what berries not to eat or what proper tools to bring when they hunt and so on. In other stories, the trickster is a guardian of a tribe, working to conquer other tribes and bring back spoils for his own. Always, though, the trickster is identified with roads, with travel, and of course with crossing boundaries. In terms of our trickster superheroes, though, I want to examine a key function of the archetype in culture. We've seen that mythology in general serves as a way to keep society cohesive. The early tribes would tell their stories to the young to pass on beliefs, knowledge, and admonishments. So each culture had its own religious beliefs, its own manner of making tools, its own recipes, and so on. But cultures can stagnate. Like purebred dogs who develop weak joints and hearts for lack of gene diversity, cultures develop weakness when they remain too isolated. Perhaps their recipes lack certain nutrients, or their knowledge of hunting causes them to miss out on larger game. Just as marrying into another tribe would diversify the gene pool, assimilating small pieces of other cultures around them diversifies their knowledge and teaches them new techniques. Our tricksters still serve many of the functions in our culture that the gods did for early tribes. Trickster villains still serve us as warnings. Look at Spider-Man's Rogues Gallery. Harold Osborn's inordinate ambition for power turns him into the monster, the Green Goblin. And scientist Kurt Connor's disregard for ethics and caution turns him into the Lizard. But our trickster heroes blur our boundaries, causing us to reevaluate our values and culture and to determine which limits and restraints should be respected and which should be pushed. Spider-Man causes us to reconsider ideas like adult and masculine. We might not realize they're doing it, but trickster stories inject new ideas and allow for growth in our personal and cultural psyches. There's much more to this subject, but for the sake of a short video I've condensed the topic. If there's enough interest in Spider-Man as the Trickster though, I'll unpack it further in future videos. For now though, let me know what Spider-Man's meant to you, how he's perhaps challenged your definitions or blurred boundaries for your own life. And stay tuned for part 2, which will look at Spider-Man in animation over the years. Until next time, keep enjoying and digging deeper into the superhero stories you love. Thanks for watching.